Nah.
You found our show, so come on in and take a seat. Warrior class, we got the keys. Dun, 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 dun. To get you where you need to be, just study our show, and you're gonna grow like crazy. Watching you will see. Dun, 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 dun. Warrior class, we got the keys, just watch our show, 'cause it's for you and your babies.
Welcome to Warrior Class.
But the teachers would pass.
And you will too if you pass.
But this is the should your child hit back when hit? Should they beat up the bully episode?
I just want to say, why Amaniki always seems like she's still reading that intro off of a piece of paper or something. I think that's hilarious. I'm sorry.
That's what we're doing today.
Over 4 years, huh?
Greetings, Eugene Mason. Greetings, reparations.
Yeah, it's been 4 years we've been on here, man.
Don't laugh at that, Eugene. Don't encourage them. Ain't right.
We're gonna can we get right into the news? Hope everybody's doing okay. King and Duck. Should they hit back? No, they should turn the other cheek. We'll discuss all of that.
But we're gonna get into it.
Right.
We some cheek turners. You know, you got the right page because we some cheek turning folks over here now. You ain't never seen that. So one thing I know everybody's been following this. Sometimes we don't talk about a lot of the big stories because they're getting talked about in every type of way until there's something very interesting about it. So we know the one thing, the white woman that's been that got $700,000 raised. Talking about she need protection after calling a child the N-word, right? Well, thanks to a black woman, her name is Keandra. Let me find her last name. Keandra Damon. She's a digital creator. She used to work at the bank and all this stuff. She figured out a way to get to the people responsible for using for the accounts that she was on, raising money. And they actually froze that money. She can't get it, and the people can't get it back. So I will accept that win. She cracked it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It said, I just said she cracked the ATML web code to expose the payment processor funding. So that's what did it. She followed the money. And because GoFundMe or whoever was doing it, they wasn't going to do anything. Of course, even though they stopped the brother from getting money who had to hit and run with the officer. We all know about that too.
Run, did he?
Well, I don't think he ran, but they're calling it he just hit him. I don't think he ran after he hit him. But he definitely, like, he was serious. He was staring down officers and everything in there. So I just wanted to highlight that. We'll take any type of little victory we can get, and I hope she never gets that money. And second little thing I thought was interesting, on May 9th, which is yesterday, South African. 8,000 white South Africans are preparing for departure to the U.S. You know they got to get out of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go. So, Mr. Tough on immigrants, I wouldn't expect, for the U.S. government to be planning to bring over 8,000 white South Africans to the U.S. as refugees.
Mm-hmm.
This is a result of a recent announcement by the Trump administration that Afrikaners, I hate that name, would be eligible for refugee status due to perceived violence and persecution in South Africa. The first group is expected to arrive in the U.S. soon, and they will be placed in locations with local support organizations. Wonder what those organizations
and they ain't gonna put them in. They ain't gonna put them in cages.
Right. Split them from the
millions and millions of my Afrikaner brothers are coming over. Millions and millions.
Wow.
Why they ain't going back to Europe or somewhere? Why they coming here? I don't understand. They're not American. They're not.
Yeah, right. Go back to Netherlands.
Right.
Or wherever you from. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really, really wild. I just wanted to bring that to the light.
I was saying about the sister, I'm glad she has a typical Black woman name too. 3 syllables.
Yeah. And I'm glad she's from Atlanta. She's from here. Yeah, we actually reached out to her as well because she was talking about getting death threats and things of that nature. So, we don't play that. We do not play that. So we definitely we reached out to her to make sure she's okay and that she don't need any help with things because we definitely have to protect our women. Last show we talked about that with the lady who was getting harassed, couldn't get her money back, a refund at wherever that place was. I'm not gonna give them no shine.
Cheesesteak place. Yeah,
exactly. And the last little thing as a fun tidbit was going around. I don't want us to put too much into all this versus going on. Now you had the gorilla versus 100 humans. You got 100
British men against 100 American men.
Yes, and then you got the 100 studs against 100 men. 100 black studs against 100 men. This self-proclaimed black stud recorded herself putting out that challenge, and we getting ridiculous, man. Let's not feed into too much of this craziness. It's all dividing. I spoke on the British versus American. I spoke on that on my page only because we are some delusional American folks. And I'm only talking about black folks. I ain't gonna even talk about I don't know what white folks is. But I know the black folks in America, we are delusional about our abilities. We think we can beat bears, gorillas. We think we can even though, like I say, because like Bob was saying, because we was blood raw in high school, and we think we're delusional. And so I spoke on that only because I wanted to motivate people, and if not motivate you, at least break the delusional framework that you are stuck in. And so that was my only thing I wanted to do with that. But other than that, man, distraction, Mr. Eugene Mason. Exactly.
No, I'll say it's not. I don't even think it's distraction. Distraction is purposeful by the distractor. Somebody's trying to distract you from something. These people just ignorant.
Right.
Ignorant shit. Now it may have been fueled by an agent, by the government or something. I don't know, but these people just talking ignorant shit. But I do know those conversations went on when I was a little boy. But it wasn't that bad. It would be like, can a bear whoop a gorilla? Can Godzilla beat 100 army men? Some shit like that. It was still that kind of, but I think it's just our ignorance. We interested in ignorant shit,
Yeah.
Can no 100 men? First of all, you're not gonna get 100 men together, but 100 men can't fight no gorilla and win.
Exactly.
It's gonna break off the first one that, if I don't even know who the first one to move. He must be insane, but it's gonna break him in half, and then the rest of you are gonna be too scared to move on that mug.
That's what I say about, and it's football players who volunteering. They're like, I'll be the first one. It's a dude named Crowder. I don't know what his name is, but he naming the football players and different people that he going. Like, y'all ain't never seen, y'all seen football violence.
Right.
You seen street violence, maybe some of you. You ain't never seen nobody head get ripped off. You ain't never seen nobody arms get pulled apart and beating on their chest with somebody with your friend arm. They beating on their chest with them. You never seen no shit like that.
Right.
Shock and awe. You're gonna be standing there. What the?
You know, there was a story in the news about a chimpanzee attacking a woman. It tore her face off. A chimp.
Right.
A gorilla. People like, gorilla got 8,000 pounds strength. No, gorilla has never been tested. Its upper strength they've never been able to find weights to test its upper strength. That's how strong a gorilla is.
Right. How you gonna test it? How you gonna make it lift something or make it not, like what you gonna do?
Right.
Brittany Bowman said a human would have to link up with the Power Rangers and morph into a stronger unit.
Right, exactly. Man, look, even the 100 British against 100 American men. I don't know about white American men. They ain't getting with no British either, but Black American men, no sir. We're not trained enough over there in Britain because they don't have access to guns. They are training with, they take martial arts serious. They're training with knives and they're training with their hands.
And they're using them.
Right. We would lose. Yeah, shit. You seen a soccer match? The soccer hooligans and shit, they are serious about fighting. We would lose. Don't let the Peanut Man, the Planet Peanut Man fool you.
Right. Tea and crumpets get you confused.
I have a student, Akin Bobola. When he came to me, he was like 240 pounds, maybe a little bigger. He has a friend, Dennis, who was 300 pounds. A friend, Akin, who was like 265. Come on with that anyway. And I'm not talking big, blubberly. I'm talking muscular.
Yeah. They come a little bit bigger over there too.
Right. They grow them bigger. They're quick. Man. And they can fight.
They're not eating what we're eating over here.
Right.
No, they eating, good African and Caribbean food.
Another thing, this is I always give this example.
Somebody 100 men are losing to a gorilla. Please, I ain't overrated. Okay, whatever.
Anyway, so another thing that I always think about too when it comes to American.
Let me say something real quick too. To the stud, stop that shit. You know goddamn well 100 studs who are women now, those are women, they're not beating 100 men. It's not happening.
300
not no straight up fight with our hands. Stop that. That's not happening.
They showed, but I'm not even about to go. I'm not going to entertain that. They showed boxers of what's her name? The greatest women boxer ever. She was sparring a white dude who was not even a professional. He knocked her out. Sparring.
There's such a difference in our size and strength, speed. When I was in high school, not college, in high school, I had faster times than Florence Griffith Joyner, who was an Olympic champion.
Yes, Clarissa Shields.
They're saying Clarissa Shields. Well,
that's what I was talking about.
Clarissa Shields
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I was talking about when she sparred with the dude and he knocked her out. They just give me the name. But go ahead,
wow.
Bob.
See, like people use. I thought they like a this is one woman. She's from the Netherlands, I believe, and she's a kickboxer and a boxer. And she knocked off. She hit this robot thing and knocked the plate off his head. And they said, "See, wow, women can hit hard. No, she can hit hard. Your average woman cannot hit like that. It's just the truth.
Yes.
A woman can hit and kill with her power, but not to the level of that woman. So let's stop. Right. Let's stop and be realistic about our limitations. Yeah. In that thing that I listed on online and on the show before, it's something like 70% of people think they can beat a goose. You cannot. Goose how you run. You be running and crying and shit from a goose.
They talk about a story about Wilt Chamberlain saying he beat he killed a mountain lion with his bare hands. I was like, how about that shit?
Right. This student, not student, this woman said, you know, my daddy, because I posted a picture of a man chopping a bull, right, and killing the bull. I said, that's bullshit. And she was like, well, my daddy, he often fought dogs and would beat the dog. I said, well, a dog and a bull are different, but I doubt if your daddy often fought dogs.
Right.
Often, like every other week, or how often we talking about? What the fuck we talking about?
Right.
He go around looking in the hood.
Because he was a martial art expert. Yeah, me too. But I'm not fighting no dogs. I'm not fighting no bulls. None of that. I'm not beating no bull. First of all, if I could beat a bull with a chop, I'm not taking the risk.
Yo,
because the bull,
people don't realize
it gores your ass.
People talk like that never see these animals or be around these animals in real life, so they have no idea. A bull is just one big muscle. Like, what are we talking about? Like, people don't realize how strong and anyway.
I've seen a bull hit a man, about 240 pound man, 230 pound man, and knocked him like he was a rag doll.
It's supposed to my stories
across this field. So stop it.
So
shit, a ram.
Oh man. A goat.
Right. Tony Baker used to post rams, you know, saying cram, hitting folks. Man, they be busting people up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The right goat. People don't realize how big mountain goats are. You know, a mountain goat would maul the shit out of you.
A ram 1,800 pounds.
Yeah, people don't, like I said, people don't see these animals and they don't realize how big these animals are, so they just talk crazy. A beaver might
I knock out a moose. You will not knock out a moose.
You can't reach a moose head. You can't. Moose stand about like 10 feet, motherfucker. So what are you talking about? I often think about this guy that was talking, this special forces guy. I told Bob about this story. He was saying that when they was in Iraq years ago in the 2000s, when they were in Iraq, they would stage fight with the prisoners, the Iraqi soldiers that were prisoners. They would fight them. And this is special forces against regular Iraqi soldiers. And they asked him, say, so who won the most? We should have, y'all must have killed them or whatever. He said it was about 50-50. Special forces American soldiers against regular Iraqi soldiers. And the wins was about 50-50. Now think about that for a minute. First, think about the level of training, special forces versus regular soldiers. That's one thing. Now think about the average size of an American versus an Iraqi soldier. They're giving up about 60 pounds on average. 60 pounds. You got 60 pounds over a man. Your chances of winning should be pretty up there. And you skilled. Well, what's the difference? The difference is The Iraqi soldiers have been fighting their whole lives. Their experience, they've been outside. They've been fighting for their lives at some point. Their whole lives from a child. That's the difference from us be boxing a little bit in America versus over there in England, where they fighting with their hands all the time over games. You know what I'm saying? We're not fighting over the Celtics versus we're not fighting over that. We're not fighting because Kansas City lost and won. We're not doing that. And that's all the time. So we can't even fathom, like Bob would say, skill can trump strength. What trumps skill can be experience. You can be skilled as you know what, but if somebody's been out there doing it all the time, they're gonna put their hands on you and know exactly what they do, what they're doing. And so I just want us to break out of that thing, man. If you don't train it, you're not gonna do it most of the time. That's the rule when it comes to self-defense. If you don't train it, you're not gonna do it. That's why you don't see people out there in the street getting their eye gouged out, no matter how many times you've seen somebody do that. I grew up on Kung Fu Theater, the snake technique, boy. I used to always be thinking, I'm never in no fight did that, and I've never done that.
And how many times have you heard karate masters talking about, I just grab his eyes? You won't.
You won't.
You won't.
Look at African martial arts on our page, on the African Martial Arts Institute page. You'll see reality versus imagination. And what it is, you got the Shaolin monks in a movie talking about they kung fu and they fighting. Then you got a real life brawl going on with the Shaolin monks, and they picking up chairs, throwing at each other, punching with a hammer fist, punching like this and stuff. That's real life. All this right here is not real, and you're not going to do that. You're not even going to do. Your body ain't going to let you do this type of shit in real life.
Right.
So just get serious about yourself, man. That's all I want you to do. That's all I really want us to do.
And that will take care of most of this bullshit out here. Just be serious, because they're not.
Yeah, but
Right.
These people making these videos, as serious as they look, they're not serious. And I look at the video and I say, this is a joke. I sent videos the other day. I said, nope. As serious as this video look, I said, nope. Then I sent the dude doing judo. Yep. What he was doing.
Right.
It's a difference. Right. There's a difference now.
And the mentality is different.
Life, right. Fighting for your life, man, please. Most of these dudes out here, I don't care how many views they got. I don't care. They scooting on their booty and they pull the person down on their booty and they check. Look, they're not being serious. They're not serious with your life. They're not serious about their technique.
Right.
It's serious
They
about
may be serious about the. They may be serious about the sport
and getting that money. Yeah.
And yeah, they might be serious about the sport.
Yeah, that. And no now who've been training.
You just froze up, Bob. You said somebody's been training. It's funny because he's
right. Real quick, Bila, did you feel the earthquake in Atlanta, and also Black Power Media and Brittany? Did y'all feel that there's supposedly there was an earthquake in Atlanta around like 9:45 or something? I guess it must have been a small one.
It must have been very small. I don't know. I had indigestion, so I thought it was me. I didn't really. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't hear. I didn't. Nope. It must have been very small. Maybe I'm too closing down. So, yeah, white man in Ohio committed suicide and let loose 50 exotic animals: lions, tigers, bear. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, I also posted. I love let me not say love.
Oh, greetings, I'm Manifesto, Emmanuel Briggs, and Black Power Media, excuse me.
I'm not gonna say love, but I appreciate when people are shown why they shouldn't mess with wild animals, why they shouldn't try to feed wild animals. I'm not gonna say I love it, because sometimes people get extreme, have to really be taught serious lessons and even lose their lives. But it's just I saw these people throwing food at a grizzly bear. And the grizzly bear, so they threw the food down out of a bag. They had a bag of whatever they had throwing the food. This is my story. So the grizzly bear ate the first little thing and didn't act like it was sniffing to get closer to the person. like you had to, like, I automatically knew what was going on. Maybe it's the street thing or black people just not trusting stuff like that. But I could immediately tell that he was trying to position himself. And then he just pounced on the dude. They didn't show what happened. I hope he was all right. But he got jumped on by a grizzly bear. So I doubt that he came out unscathed at the very least. But he probably one of the people that thought he could beat a grizzly bear before that encounter. So, but like that kind of stuff is even delusional. You know what I'm saying? Like it's.
I can see if you're trying to distract the bear with the food while you get away or something like that.
Yeah. That was crazy. I was frozen on my end. I guess y'all weren't.
Yeah, no, yeah, you were frozen. And it's funny because when you came back, you was in the same pose for a minute. So I was like, wait a minute, he's still froze? But yes, sir. But you were making a point.
I don't even remember what point I was making.
I'm not gonna lie. I got caught out there too. I can't remember it at this present time. But Mr. Briggs, that Manifesto, we appreciate y'all. King and Duck said we overrate the gorilla. I hear you.
Nah, he said forced them to change white man in Ohio committed suicide and let loose 15 exotic animals, lions, tigers, bears. Wow, oh my. That's crazy.
And you know, there's a bunch of monkeys in I don't know where
they still out. That was in Alabama or South Carolina one.
Yeah.
Still out there.
Oh, I didn't hear about that one. I gotta look that up.
It's like 36 monkeys or something.
Yeah, it's a good number. It's a good number. And they was talking about some of the repercussions of them being in the ecosystem. You know,
they're just out there, man.
Right. And I enjoy seeing people trying to play with them too. And not realizing, like, wild animals, they can be intelligent, they still wild. You know what I'm saying? They wild intelligent, but that don't mean you can go up to them and say, hey, how you doing, buddy? You don't understand that shit.
It's a different reality.
That can be even more dangerous.
Right. Exactly. Because they
don't have a desire to commune with humans. Or
chimpanzees use tools. Sometimes they use sticks to beat other things. I would hate to have a chimp beat me with a stick.
I'm sorry,
man.
That's bad. That's a bad way to go. A chimp beat me with a stick. Good gracious. Good gracious. That's
better to have him beat you with a stick than rip your arm off.
No, they're not better. They both pretty bad.
Yeah, you might be right.
I'll take the beating with the stick though. I don't want my arms ripped off. I want to slow. I don't want to beat. I don't want to.
A human with a stick, with a slick stick or something like that can kill you.
Okay, never mind. You're right.
That thing can he hit you in your head just be collapsed.
I can't even imagine what that's like getting hit with it. Like you said, a human. We was just in class showing that a human hitting you with a solid stick that's very, very painful. So imagine 4 times that
or more.
Yeah, I can't imagine that.
Just collapsing your skull.
A switch.
The best thing for you would be that the stick breaks or something.
Oh, it would actually be a quick death if it hit you 4 times the force of a human.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it wouldn't take too many hits.
I think it's got more than 4 times, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because a human can't get nowhere near ripping your arms off.
Mm-mm.
They say so. They tried to say
most humans can't turn over a car, but a chimpanzee can.
Yeah, but think about it.
More humans couldn't turn over a car.
So I think they're rating it by the strongest humans, Bob. When they say 4 times the strength of the human, because I know humans that can pick a little car up like this and bring it back down. You got 4 of them.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You know,
So
people
I
like
think
that.
they're taking the
They
max
ain't your
strength.
average human. They ain't no your average human ain't.
And also, again, how they measuring this?
Right.
Are they asking the chimp, is that all you got?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do they know the chimp is giving them everything? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see how they can measure that.
See, one, we go by human measurements. So humans have red muscle,
Right.
which is extremely weak compared to animals who have more white muscle.
Right.
And they don't just have white muscle; their whole body is white muscle. We can't even figure out what that is. I mean, that level of strength, human beings cannot compare to that.
Yeah.
You know, so we can't figure it out. Our strength is not in our strength, our physical strength. Our strength is in our mind.
Exactly.
Right.
So we have minds and brains that work better than, and that's not muscle, but we have minds and brains that work better than the animal's physical strength. So we can create a gun. We can create, the knife. We can create tools that can get us from here to there. We can do that, but they can't. They can. Exactly. A chimp can. The best he can do is, break off a stick in a tree and use that. And I heard that they can sharpen it so they can use it like a spear, but that's the best they can do, man.
I heard that.
It's pretty good.
We had a teacher. Oh shoot! I deleted this comment by mistake. Oops. This teacher commented on our post about bullying, saying that they were that kid at one time. If y'all didn't see it, which many of y'all, I don't think y'all on IG like that, I found a post where they staged this bullying scenario in Burger King, and they said that they were going to see if people respond to the bullying of the little kid versus
the Whopper Junior versus the junior in high school,
right? Versus junior in high school, and 95% of the people,
99.
It was 99. Yeah, so 99% of the people that got their burger, they Whopper Junior bully, they responded to that. But only 12% of the people, and they say 12, but they only showed one person, but only 12% of the people responded when they saw other kids bullying another kid, and it was physical. Some of it was teasing, some of it was pushing and all that. And it was amazing that the adults just looked at it and didn't do anything. So that's one lesson in that is you can't depend on folks to protect your child out here.
Right.
Well, I think I could kind of see, people rationalizing that the child needs to learn how to, deal with that or whatever. I feel like I would say something, but there's a lot of people.
Most people think, and we're gonna get into it in a minute. Most people think that bullying is like a childhood passage right.
Yes.
Now the folks who say that shit are the ones who were bullies in school,
right?
Or been bullied, and they looking at it like, I want you to go what I went through.
Right, and they denying how devastating it is, and they still traumatized by it. Now,
yeah,
this thing here, this is a yardstick. Now you tape together about 5 of these. This is what Miss Johnson used to beat us with. We're talking about bullies now. Used to beat us with in school. I talked about Miss Johnson before, how she broke her niece's arm, stuff like that. Well, allegedly. So this is what we got whooped with, not Miss Johnson, not only Miss Johnson, but many teachers. They'd have a bunch of these taped together in their corner, and we got whacked. I mean, it was terrible, right? Well, Miss Johnson, if she liked you like me, I was a pet, I got hit with the broadside. If she didn't like you, she hit you with the edge side.
Man.
That could have broken bone, man.
For real.
You know, I just want to point that out, that a lot of children, when they get bullied in school, it's not just by children.
Definitely.
So
There's teachers that will pick on you, and you know, when a teacher says something, it gives permission for all the children to laugh and join in on that.
Well, when my son, his name is Oluwade, when he went to
right
elementary school, one elementary school that we took him out of, they were calling him Holiday, Uda, and the teacher said, "What's your name? Holiday?" Instead of Oluwade. And so all the children laughed and they started calling him Holiday.
Right, they give him permission
from the teacher. I went up to the school. They hid the teacher from me. They said, we don't know, what teacher you talking about. He gave me the name and stuff. So that kind of job, some bull jive. I said, well, tell her that I just wanted to talk to her and tell her how that was incorrect what she did, and correct that, right? But now, when I see her, my wife probably gonna, snatch her wig off. Probably gonna snatch her wig off. I'm just letting you know, because now she's hiding out. So we were dealing with that kind of stuff, man. We took him out of that school. It was ridiculous. But we brought him to another school that was just as ridiculous. We brought him to a school that was supposed to be great, Quilombo, which is a KIP school. I was about to say president. The principal dislocated his shoulder.
Really?
That's great.
So yeah. So then I took Akin Bobala, a student up there with me, to transfer him out, but I took him there so I wouldn't strangle that motherfucker.
And separate his shoulder.
Right, and separate, right. He pulls me in the office, he locks the door. So I said, "Oh, you locking the door? You want to get down with me? Cool, we can get down." He said, "I'm not afraid of your martial arts. I do taekwondo." I said, "But I do take one's life. So if you want to do this, we can do this now." And then I noticed he had, because a worker peeked in the back door to his office, he had that open. So he had them listening, waiting. And that was a risk he did. So I could get arrested or whatever. I'm like, man, I would kill this motherfucker before any police, including the one that's on this property, stepped into this room. So
there's a policeman at Quilombo?
I don't know, but usually they have policemen at, different schools. I don't know what they have there now. I don't know. But I transferred Ade out of there because of that.
Wow.
And the principal of the school, when we signed him up because the principal of the school was not only a black man, he was supposed to be doing E5 too, Chief Fache. But Chief Fache was not the principal, it was Dean Leeper, a Jewish dude. I guess he was Jewish, I don't know, but I was like, hell no. Dean Leeper is the principal of Quilombo, and they gave the principalship at Kip Ways or Kip Strive, one of those. They gave that to Chief Fache.
Mm.
That was his little deal to get at a better school to pose himself as the principal of Quilombo. So a bunch of black parents would sign him up, sign their child up, and then they find out, you know. And the reason why he dislocated myself, I'm sure I did tell this before, Eugene Mason. The reason why he did dislocate my son's shoulders because my son had reported that his teachers said, you know, the children were acting up, as children do. And she says, that's why blacks were slaves. And he told me and his mother, and we went up to the school.
As you should.
To investigate. And we talked to that teacher. She crying and I said, I don't care about your crocodile tears. I really don't. Just like that. I said, I don't care about that.
Right.
Just don't engage with my son. If you're going to be talking about that's why blacks were slaves, and that is not why blacks were slaves because they were acting bad. And so then the black teacher in there, the sister, she said, oh, I got something to say. It takes off her sweater. I said, oh, shit, you taking your sweater off. You about to get down, huh? And she's like, your son doesn't like white folks. I said, oh, okay. Well, what am I supposed to say? I said, I don't teach my son not to like white folks. He got eyes and ears. He sees how white people act. And he makes his own judgment call on that. And I said, now, what he hasn't seen, but what he is learning now is niggas like you who defend white people to your dying breath. That's what he has not seen in his life. And that's what he got to wake up to. Niggas like you. You're more dangerous than her.
Right.
What? Then she starts crying. I said, man, y'all crocodile tears mean shit to me. That ain't got nothing to do with love or nothing. That's got something to do with you're a crocodile. Right now, I'm the crocodile hunter. That's what this is about. Right now, I'm the crocodile hunter. And I was hunting her, but now I see you a crocodile too.
It was black folks supporting the woman who called the child the N-word, saying that we got to protect free speech. What are you talking about?
We got a group of blacks who are like this. Yes, sir. We got a group of black people like that all the time. One time I called black instructors, all the black instructors in Chicago, and that was a lot. And I'm saying, hey, let's get together. Let's form a coalition. And you know, most of them are with it. This one black man I called, he said, let me educate you on something.
Uh-oh.
There are people of color and there are white men. People of color and white men. Now, he had changed his name to Quan, Master Quan, Korean motherfucker. I said, first of all, Master Quan, you're telling me all of us are lumped into people of color, and then a white man, he got his own category.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's special, right? I said, and you such a nigga that you call yourself Quan when your real name is Ramirez, motherfucker. That's really what your name is, Ramirez, but you call yourself Quan. And you ain't even married to a Korean. You're married to a black woman, I guess, who went along with that shit. You changed your name to Quan, Kwon, when your name is Ramirez, not even near that.
Now, see if your name changed his first name to Quan. You know, that's more regular for black people.
and yeah, Quan, Quon,
Right.
So then, after that, you know, I went to his school.
Oh,
I went up to the school, and you know, he hadn't challenged me or nothing, but I went up to the school to challenge him. I was just so mad. but he showed, he was so friendly to me that I wouldn't do it. He was nice. He was, accommodating and stuff like that. And he mentioned something about, his real name was Ramirez. He just used Quan because they got him in the spaces. He did that type of thing. So I chilled out on what I intended to do, what I went to the school to do. And, I was a young dude and he was an older dude. And so it was respect for my elders too. But he was a Tom, boy. He was a Tom. And I was going to shut him down. But, he handled me like an older man should, really. And maybe not whoop his ass.
You're smart at least.
Yeah, because I was going to whoop his ass and close the school down. Well, in those days, me and another brother would do that. We would go in, we would find information on the teacher. If he was a Tom or whatever like that, abusive to his child and shit, we would expose him, shut him down, buy his school, and then put somebody else in that school, or we would use that space.
It's only right.
That's how we would do, Muggs.
Yeah,
because we shut him down, embarrass him and stuff. He ain't got no choice but to sell that school.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be right there.
He definitely had it coming.
Right. We'd be right there. So I was going to shut him down that way. I wasn't going to kill a man or nothing. But he was nice. I'm sure Master Quan is probably, I don't know if he's dead because he was like 40 something when I was 20 something. So he's 70 something now. I don't know if he's dead, but I doubt he's still teaching. He probably one of his students teaching, if anything.
I want to send rest in peace while you said that to a friend of mine that passed. She's been on the she's been in the chat before when we first started the show. Veronica King. I haven't found the details yet. I just had a friend let me know while we was in class. I think it was, Bob. I think that's when I got the news. Yeah. But she was breast cancer recovering recovery, and it's just a reminder, to always try to stay up on that. You can, if you ever had any type of cancer, you have to constantly monitor it. You have to always know that it could still be there with you. You got to kind of live a certain lifestyle from there on out, So I just wanted to put that out there for her.
Rest in peace.
Yes. Sir. And another thing is, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
No, go ahead. I was saying started. Well, go ahead.
No, and on the lighter side, because she was a very light-hearted person, a very good-spirited person. So in some other news, I made some pinto beans. So good. Lord have mercy. I called my mama this morning. I just want y'all to know out there. I'm sorry, I just had to let y'all know out there. I made some pinto beans so dang on good. I got to try to freeze some if I ain't too tight, so my mama can have some in June or July when I go home. Because boy, I'm a bad motherfucker when it comes.
Yeah, I used to throw down on some pinto beans. Now my wife would tell you.
Wow. That's my least.
I ain't cooking so long, man. But
that's my least
pinto beans too.
That's the least my least favorite bean to cook because I've never been able to get a lot of taste out of them. They always harder. Excuse me. A lot of times I can't get them all to get soft as I want them to be. But I think it's this brand I got from New York City. Even though the beans
fresher too. I noticed that with beans, sometimes you don't know how fresh the beans are when you get them, and that's what makes them harder to sell.
And like my mom said, I hate to say it, sometimes brands do matter. Sometimes in buying food it can. So I just want to throw that out there because Veronica was also a cook, and so I would have loved for her to be able to taste those beans I got, but tough. They are fire. Anyway,
did you put somebody? Emmanuel said, did you put the pork shanks in it?
No, I did not.
Of course.
I don't even know what a pork shank
we
is.
know he put them pork shanks in that bed.
He put some vegan pork shanks in there.
Right.
I don't even know what a pork shank is. Is that a pork that stabbed a pig that stabbed another pig? Like, what is a
Yes,
pork
pork,
shank?
pork
From
is
North
another
Carolina,
pig
you know
who's been stabbed by another pig called pork shank.
You are
Never
you
heard
are
of a
That's
pork
what
shank.
tenderizes the meat when you shank him.
I did. Now I shanked some pork before, but I never put pork shank in my. I don't know nothing about the liquid
Yeah,
smoke. Nope.
that's what tenderizing meat. Boy, you shank them up and then you tenderize it. Shit.
Let me tell you. Now I just real quick. I didn't put any liquid smoke. I didn't put anything, but I let them soak for like 2 days. First of all, but I didn't put anything in it except onions. I saute onions. I try to get saute onions. Almost some of them is like liquid a little bit. I didn't put anything but salt, pepper, cayenne pepper, turmeric, black pepper. That's it. That's all I put in there. I don't know how. I don't know why. I do got smoked paprika. I didn't put it in there. I put a little bit of paprika. Nah, I didn't even put paprika in this. Just I'm telling you, I don't know how I did it. That's how I had to call my mama.
Oh,
Like,
and black folks, it's called paprika, not paprika.
I call it paprika.
Cause some people call it paprika. It's paprika.
Paprika.
It is a pepper.
It is a pepper, but it's called paprika.
I Manifesto said he did them with portobello, blackstrap molasses, and brown sugar. That sounds great. We need to have a cooking show.
Yeah. Now the portobello mushroom that might turn you into a zombie, but other than that, that's good, you know. But the
I don't know.
portobellos, the cordyceps mushroom, man, that's zombie fight. All right, so we're gonna get to it. All right, it takes a different type of person to cause pain to others for money, clout, or just fun. And yes, females can be bullies too. They just favor a different means to a mean. I want to start by telling you a couple of true stories. On the first day of spring, honor student Curtis Taylor took his seat in the 8th grade classroom he had grown to hate in the Oak Street Middle School in Burlington, Iowa. For 3 years, other boys had been tripping him in the hallways, knocking things out of his hands, and even taking his head and banging it into a locker.
Sorry.
Things were intensifying. The name calling was harsher. Some beloved role-playing game books were taken. His bicycle was vandalized twice. Children even kicked the cast that covered his broken ankle once. And in front of his classmates, some guys poured chocolate milk down the front of his sweatshirt. I want to tell you 3 stories, actually. Curtis was so upset, he went to see a school counselor. He blamed himself for the other children not liking him. One night, Curtis went into a family bedroom, took out a gun, and shot himself in the head. The community was stunned. The television cameras rolled, at least for a few days. Chicago journalist Bob Greene lingered over the events in his column, and then he printed letters from folks for whom the episode served largely as a reminder of their own childhood humiliations at the hands of bullies. Months later in Cherokee County, Georgia, 15-year-old Brian Head grew tired of the same teasing and deeds. He shot himself to death in front of his classmates. He walked to the front of the classroom and pulled the trigger. The Georgia death came on the heels of 5 bullying-related suicides in a small town in New Hampshire. Within days, the story got lost in the cacophony of breaking events. Now, I want to tell you a third story. A boy's teacher did a youth prom for the boy. Not the boy, but, for all the boys and girls in the class. And the boys would ask the girls out and stuff like that. This one boy who was a bully, Timothy, no girls went out with Timothy. Timothy was by himself because he was a known bully and they didn't like him. Well, this one boy was walking with his mother to meet the other people for the prom. His mother walked him, down, and he met his date. And, he walked down, and Timothy says in front of this boy's mother, "I want your glasses. Your glasses are nice. Your shades. Give them to me." In front of this boy's mother.
Damn.
And the boy was me. And the boy's mother said, "Adam, you better handle that. Handle that." Now, I don't know what she meant, but I know how I took it. And I just tore into Timothy, beating his ass. He was all bloody all over his suit. So he couldn't go to the prom. He left there with one, his mama didn't bring him, but he left there alone, not at the prom. Never got my glasses. They were some white shades with tigers on the side.
Oh,
I thought that was the sharpest thing ever.
Lie, yeah.
And he never got the tiger shades, but he got his ass whooped. Well, this dude, I had to knock him out as a man. We were grown. Me and Anthony went to the laundromat. Anthony's my best friend. We went to wash our clothes. I had my load. He had his load. And in the laundromat was Timmy.
Timmy Turner.
And Timmy is using too many dryers. I said, well, after I, do this load, I'd like for you to take your clothes out, consolidate them in one dryer because I need this dryer. He said, man, I'm not giving up the dryer to you. I said, well, when my clothes finish, I'll just, take your clothes out and consolidate them myself, put it in the dryer. He said, no, you won't. My clothes dried. I just started whooping his ass. Get your clothes out of, get out of here. So half dry. He had to pack them up and leave.
Could have easily turned to the heel in these stories.
I could have turned it to the book. Well, my sister had told me one time, well, you are you going to turn into the bully? You bullying the bullies, because he had a little clique with him of bullies, and I ran roughshod over all of them, one by one. Beating them down one by one. The final one was this dude Wesley. I think I told you about that. We were in, I think, second grade or third grade. He was 250 pounds in. He was terrifying to a little boy.
Yeah.
250 pounds of fat. And so I would just pop, and then I run back. And he trying to, run at me. He's getting tired. Now, pow. Then I run again. I'd step over a chain or something, or jump over a fence, and now he got to try to get over the fence. And so he was so tired.
That's the final boss.
Right. He was so tired that he started crying because he couldn't really move no more. And that's when I knew I had him.
Ooh.
And I worked him like a mud to the point he just fell down. And everybody in the school, hey, Adam. Yeah. I'm the champ. I knocked out Big Wesley. Big Wesley went on to become, let you know what kind of person he was. He went on to become a molester of children. I tried to kill Wesley. I set up this other brother, Tommy. So not my friend Anthony's brother, Tommy, but this other brother named Tommy. He was 16. I was 14 at the time. I went down to Wesley stayed in this basement. I went down to the basement. And there was a shovel down there. I knocked on Wesley's door. He opened the door. I hit him in the head. He fell. I hit him in the head with a shovel. He fell. I put the shovel on his throat. And then you know how like you try to dig something, you jump on the shovel. I jumped on the shovel on his neck. I tried to take his head off. But Tommy pulled me off. He's like, man, you gonna bring me down here to kill somebody? Because he went down there with me. We were supposed to just beat Wesley up. I went down there to kill Wesley. I was going to remove him from the neighborhood and terrorizing all these children. Now, I was a child myself, but, you know, he was like 7-year-old, 8-year-olds, and he had raped a close friend, these girls, these twins. He had raped their little brother. And the twins were close friends of mine. That was too much. That was the final straw. And so I was going to kill him.
You were definitely built different.
Yeah, I guess so. And he stopped me, you know. No, Wesley's dead, but not because of that. Wesley died from AIDS. He went down to, you know, he was a big mug. He was, as a man, he had gotten probably at as heavy as 400 something pounds. He got down to 95 pounds.
Wow.
So he ended up going through his own hell.
Yeah. AIDS ate him up and he died, you know, from AIDS related sickness. I don't know what it was, but that's what he died from.
We're probably gonna get into it, but you know, a lot of the way we treat each other in our community, it draws a real thin line between bullying and jonesing and teasing. Because you can tease on a certain level as friends, and it's not that. Then it's like a thin line where all of a sudden it's overboard, and it's hard as kids. It is a hard line to find. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just sometimes it can be when you got people that you see every day that's in your neighborhood, and something happened to you that day, and they clown you about it. You know what I'm saying? That's not bullying to a certain extent, but then it's how they clown you about it. It's a very thin line.
Yeah, we're gonna get into what bullying is.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it in a second.
Just over a decade earlier, a nearly identical series of events unfolded in the northern reaches of Norway. Now, these were America, the events I told you about. This is in Norway. 3 boys between the ages of 10 and 14 killed themselves, one newspaper reported, to avoid continued severe bullying from schoolmates. But the story wouldn't die, nor would it shrivel into self-pity. An entire nation erupted. This is in Norway. That following fall, scarcely 9 months later, a campaign against bullying was in full swing in all of Norway's primary and junior high schools, launched by the Minister of Education. And its architect, Don Oweus, who's a PhD, a psychologist who in 1970 had pioneered the systematic study of bullying, became something of a national hero. Okay.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Most Americans do not take bullying very seriously. If Americans think it's at all about it, they tend to think that bullying is a given of childhood. At most, a passing stage, one inhibited largely by boys who will simply inevitably be boys.
Inhabited.
Say it again, Bob.
Inhabited largely by boys.
Oh, inhabited. Yeah, exactly. Inhabited largely by boys who will simply inevitably be boys. It's just the case of boys being boys, they say. The same parents harbor the belief that children should somehow always be able to defend themselves, to stand up for themselves, fight back, not be pushed around by anyone, and those who don't or can't almost deserve what they get. Bullying is just good old boyhood in the land of aggressive individualism. Nothing could be further from the truth.
The vast majority of children, 60 to 70%, are never involved in bullying, either as perpetrators or victims. Early in development, most children acquire internal restraints against such behavior, but those who bully do it consistently. Their aggression starts at an early age. It takes a very specific set of conditions to produce a child who starts fights, threatens, or intimidates a peer. Give me the jump rope or I'll kill you, and actively inflicts pain upon others. And bullying always has a very long run. Bullying begins in childhood, but it continues until adulthood. And it is among the most stable of human behavior styles.
The aggression shown by bullies can be physical, pushes and shoves and hitting, kicking and punching, or it can be verbal, name calling, taunts, threats, ridicule, and insults. Bullies not only say mean things to you, they say mean things about you to others. Often enough, the intimidation that starts with a fist is later accomplished with no more than a nasty glance. The older bullies get, the more their aggression takes the form of verbal threats and abuse.
Yes. From 15 to 20% of children are involved in bullying more than once or twice a term, either as bullies or victims. In one Canadian study, 15% of students reported that they bullied others more than once or twice during the term. According to large-scale studies conducted in Norway, 30% of students bullied others with some regularly. But since then, bully problems have increased.
Bullies, for the most part, are different from you and me. Studies reliably show that they have a distinctive cognitive makeup, a kind of paranoia. They perceive provocation where it does not exist. That comes to justify their aggressive behavior. Say someone bumps them and they drop a book. Bullies don't see it as an accident. They see it as a call to arms. These children act aggressively because they process social information inaccurately. They endorse revenge. That allows them a favorable attitude toward violence and the use of violence to solve problems. Whether they start there or they get there along the way, bullies come to believe that aggression is the best solution to conflicts. They also have a strong need to dominate and derive satisfaction from injuring others.
What may be surprising is that bullies see themselves quite positively. And children who bully other children typically aren't outcasts with low self-esteem. That's believed, but that's bullshit. In fact, they tend to be better adjusted socially than the average middle school student. Psychologists surveyed nearly 2,000 sixth graders in the Los Angeles area and found that bullies were consistently among the most liked and respected children in school. Bullies are psychologically strong and very popular among their peers. This peer status is important in terms of boosting their well-being. It's disturbing to think that bullies are feeling really good about themselves, but they are. It's a myth that bullies are anxious and insecure. Instead, habitual bullying behavior is self-reinforcing. When children find that putting others down earns them approval from their peers, they are likely to do it again and again.
Yeah. I was just thinking, having flashbacks, realizing I was bullied. I was definitely bullied. So what'd you say, Bob?
Many people were.
I was.
I think when they say 30%, I think it's more in America.
Yeah, nobody asked me, was I bullied? So how do you know where you get the percentage from? I always think about that when I hear polls. But I grew up with these guys, a family called the James family. Matter of fact, when we were in North Carolina, you didn't see them, but you heard of one of them because he charged my mama $250.
Yeah,
to do her yard, which my mother did not pay. But they're a group that stay in the back of our neighborhood, and they were the group that your mama and been like, don't go out there playing with them James boys, don't mess with them James boys. And through growing up, we became friends. I fought every James boy, first of all. Every James boy is Rufus, Rodney, Ron, Ronell. I fought all four of them.
You
Rufus and
fought
Rodney
Ronette?
are not, huh?
You fought Ronette?
Ronell.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. My bad.
Ronell. I didn't fight Ronisi, Ramona. I didn't fight them. They were the girls. But Rufus and Rodney were my age. Ron was 1 year older than me, but he was a big fat dude. He was like 200 pounds by the time he was in 7th grade. And Ronell was 3 years older than me. The light-skinned dude, stocky with the green eyes, all the girls loved him. And he actually bullied me because I could beat the other three. So the fact that he didn't like that, by the time I went to junior high, it was still 7th graders through 9th graders, not middle school. So he was the 9th grader when I came into 7th grade, and he made me play this game. I might have told this before. He made me play this game where if I didn't see him, he could hit me in the chest as hard as he could. Unless I saw him. If I saw him coming, then he wouldn't do it. But if I didn't see it, he got to hit me in the chest as hard as he could. I was forced to play this game with him. That, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing you don't realize. That's bullying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was being bullied. My and I'll get to it. And the other bullying incident I had was growing up was my barber now, which is Mario. He was because you know him, it's funny, right? He wasn't a bully like that growing up, but because his girlfriend liked me, I think. In the 7th grade, he was in the 9th grade. I'm in the 7th grade, and his girlfriend that I don't know what it was, but she liked me or something. So he started bullying me. And he basically where it went is our neighborhood used to fight each other. I told Bob about this before. Like if we didn't fight another neighborhood, then the front fought the back. If the front didn't fight the back, then the 7th graders had to fight the 8th and 9th graders. I don't know why the 7th graders had to fight the 8th and 9th graders. So what he would do is hold me or something and be like, y'all punch him. And then people punch me like, yeah, you can hit him harder than that. Hit him harder. And basically bully other people into beat me up pretty much. You know what I'm saying? Mm. And it's like a neighborhood thing. So it's not real fighting. You can't take it to heart. Supposedly, if I do now, I'm the villain if I get mad. You know what I'm saying? So he played it real slick. You know, real slick. We running from the 9th graders. They chasing us. We running. And he might clip me or something. He was an athlete, way better athlete than me. So he could run faster than me. So he outrun, clip me. I fall on the basketball outside on the blacktop, skin my knees up. Just little stuff. But it was bullying. And you don't think of it as a kid. I didn't feel like it was bullying. I felt like it was just the neighborhood. This is just what happens. You know what I'm saying? And so so like I say, the line could be so gray sometimes. You got to really realize what's going on. So up until about age 7, studies suggest bullies pick on anyone. After that, they single out specific children to prey on. Between ages 8 and 16, about 8 or 9% of children are the consistent targets of bullying. And I do know that it was certain people that got it every day. You might have a funny smell, you dress bad, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, and they would definitely lock in on you. And bullies engage in a shopping process to find them. At the beginning of the school year, when children do not know each other well, about 22% of children report having a victimization experience on more than a moderate level. LAD finds, that's a study, I guess. But by the end of the school year, only 8% of the children wind up being regularly singled out by bullies. About half of all children are victims at least once a year. Moreover, the younger a child, the more likely he or she is to experience aggression at the hands of peers. For if there's one thing bullies do, it's pick on children who are younger and smaller than they are. and weaker. Most bullies are physically strong, and they specifically seek out children who are ill-equipped to fight back. And this one thing this ain't addressing is I come, and we may get to it. I come from a city where they clown you, and that's a form of bullying too. You know what I'm saying? If you really good at clowning people, I got a friend OD talk about all the time because he didn't want people to clown on him, and he feeling like he don't have certain things. He clowning on other people. You know what I'm saying? Take the attention off of him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I say, it's a very thin line. I had friends that was basically really, really poor, and they didn't have anything. Like they really had it bad in their house. Their mom would leave for a week at a time. The house was a mess. They shared clothes with 5 different people. And so, but what they could do is crack really well. And so you're never going to pick at the fact that you know he wearing them same jeans 3 times that week. You ain't going to say nothing. If you do, like, they're going to be on you so hard. You're going to, like, not them, but I just remember being cracked on so hard on the way home from school on the bus. When I'm getting off the bus, I'm like, yeah, man, you know, F y'all, I don't care, you know. And when I turn around and my back facing the bus, I'm crying. I'm walking home crying because they cracked on me the whole way home. The 12th graders made me sit in the back seat while they did Roses of Red, Violets of. They were so good at cracking, they had to challenge themselves. So like, all right, today, y'all, we're going to do only Roses of Red, Violets of Blue. And they do that and rhyme some cracks on all the way home. On the bus, I'm swearing, whatever, that shit ain't funny. On the so it's just really slick, man. It could be physical, it could be mental. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Amik.
Yeah. I'm going to share my bullying story, but not yet. It definitely was more psychological than physical. But
Brittany Bowman said, this is so crazy to neighborhoods just beefing. That's so crazy to me, neighborhoods just beefing. I grew up in such a relative peace. Well, good for you. I'm happy you did.
Oh, yeah. Those who become targets also bear a particular set of psychological characteristics. They are more sensitive, cautious, and quiet than other children. They also have a negative view of violence. It is not that they are non-aggressive, for lots of children are non-aggressive, but these children withdraw from confrontations of any kind and cry when attacked. They radiate what one researcher calls an anxious vulnerability. Faced with conflict, they are gripped with fear. Their fearfulness and physical weakness probably set them up.
Now, that's interesting.
The big question is, where does victimization start? Do children emit signals for others to test them? Or is it that bullies pick out those that they see they can dominate? They easily acquiesce to the demands of bullies. They cry and assume defensive postures. Not only do they not fight back, they hand over their possessions, handsomely rewarding their attackers psychologically and materially, powerfully reinforcing them.
Now, I never gave up. You ain't taking nothing from me, but because this is very interesting. I talked about this before. I did not like violence as a kid. I still don't like violence, but I never wanted to fight. I used to sit in my room and put my fist up to my face and be like, "Oh, that feels so nasty." I never want to hit nobody in the face. Like I would get in like from kindergarten, the first, second, third, fourth, up to about 4th grade. Somebody would try to fight me, and I never threw a punch, but they never could hit me. Like I'd be moving like this, and they swing and they couldn't hit me, but I would never hit them back. I had older cousins that would try to show off. I had cousins that try to show off in front of our older cousin when he was keeping us. Lynn, again, you met Lynn before. Lynn would try to show off when Kala would come and basically watching us. And he would have the football, and he would be the quarterback, and me and Lynn, one is the wide receiver, one is the corner. And I was better at something than Lynn was, and Lynn wanted to fight me. And at that specific time, because I made him look bad, so he lunged at me to grab me. I just moved to the side and stuck my foot out, and he fell to the ground. I would do shit like that. And then he jump up to try to get me, and my cousin, our cousin, jumped in like, "Nah, you can't do that. That's what you get for going at him." Blah 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 blah. I never liked to hit somebody, and the first time I did hit somebody, I was in the 6th grade, and my hands went without me asking them to. A dude came too close to me, and I just boop boop. I was like, "Oh my god!" I didn't say that out loud, but I was thinking that my hands flew on their own. That's the only way I even swung at somebody that I was about in the 6th grade. Yeah. So I just thought that was really interesting about not liking violence and things of that nature, because that is true. Mm-hmm. So bullying has been studied largely in boys because they are so much more overtly aggressive. These days, though, it's these girls, boy. But girls are just as capable of being mean as boys are. It's like a lot, and boy, it'd be that one girl that'd be that real bully over everybody sometime back when you was in like the kindergarten and first
had a ponytail on the side.
They got that side ponytail, and they are not playing. My cousin, yeah, she was one of them. Rest in peace to her too, Jennifer. She wasn't a bully. Let me not say that, but Jennifer didn't play. But anyway, psychologists have identified a form of aggression unique to girls and young women that they call relational aggression. Hunting others through damaging and manipulating their relationships in adverse ways, like spreading vicious rumors in a peer group to get even with someone so that the other person will reject that person. And now these days, boys do it too. Telling others to stop liking someone in order to get even with him or her, trying to control or dominate a person by using social exclusion as a form of retaliation. You can't come to my birthday party if you don't like to do X, Y, and Z. Threatening to withdraw friendship in order to get one's way, control another's behavior, or hurt someone. I won't be your friend if blah, 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 blah. I swear these boys done got feminine in their ways because they do a lot of this stuff. Giving someone the silent treatment and making sure that they know they being excluded as a form of retaliation. Definitely.
Okay, so now it's time for my bullying story. That is such a appropriate introduction to this little girl that I'm going to show you all a picture of. I don't know if y'all can see it.
Yeah, I would have bullied her too. I'd have picked on her. What was that? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I don't know if everyone can see it. I'm sorry. I think it's the glare from the light. But
you see.
So this little girl was called James. And the reason why she was called James, if you see the hairstyle, you might. But so we talked about cancer earlier. When I was very small, I got cancer when I was a little kid.
See, why you gonna let me laugh and then do that? That's so messed up.
Exactly.
That's so messed up.
But so my hair fell out when I was like 6. I went into remission when I was 7. So my hair started growing back. And my mom thought that the best way to get my hair to grow back, which probably was a smart thing when I think about it, because it's related to moisture, is she gave me a Jerry curl.
You heard my mama's story about the Jerry curl.
The thing about the Jerry curl at that time is that it was basically almost over. Like there was a time when Jerry curl was hot. But
I'm sorry, real quick. So that was a Jerry curl?
No.
Okay, because I was about to say that was a dry ass Jerry curl. That was a Jerry curl, but go ahead.
I'm taking the long road. But anyway, so I had a Jerry curl, which of course was very easy to target. Then my mom, which this almost never happens as far as I know, she found a way to get someone to give me a relaxer. So that I still get to keep on my hair, because it used to be that you couldn't just transition from a Jerry curl to a relaxer, but my mom found a way. So
Wow.
this was my hair transition from a jerry curl to a relaxer. But at that time, I think I was maybe 11 in that picture. I didn't know how to do my hair, because I hadn't been doing hair. First, I didn't have any hair. Then I had a jerry curl, which you don't really have to do anything to. Then I had that. So that was, I was doing the best I could. But that's how my hair would be styled every day. My mom did not have time to style my hair. She had like multiple jobs. So that's what, like, my nickname became James because my hair kind of looked like James Brown back then. But it kind of was the jumping off point because I also didn't have the clothes, I didn't have that. I had two brothers. We didn't have a lot of money. I did wear some of their clothes sometimes, like you were talking about. And it just other things. I maybe did have an aversion to aggression, at least, maybe violence. I think more than anything, though, I was just in a kind of new school, new environment. So that kind of took me out of my confidence. We moved from Chicago to the South like a few years before that. So I didn't really, it was just a lot of different factors that came together. But yeah, there was definitely one main girl who brought it all down. She's the one who nicknamed me James and had people calling me that. And just, it was awful. It
Children are
was
mean.
terrible.
Children are
Like,
mean as,
huh?
children are just mean as fuck
Yeah.
back then.
And it's
Children mean.
like when I was home, when I looked at myself and I was home, I didn't see the things that they said about me. But when I was at school, I was ugly. I was, all just everything. But when I was at home and, I just didn't see those things about myself. But it makes it difficult, like, especially for girls, because like I said, it's more of a psychological thing. So honestly, as a result, like I never thought I was beautiful until I was about 30 years old, after I had a child who I thought was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, most beautiful person I had ever seen. And he looked like me. And then I look a lot like my mom. And my mom, I always thought my mom was beautiful. And that is like I finally made that connection in my head at that time. But yeah, bullying can really, affect you deeply. So
Definitely.
Sure.
What you were saying about this, yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. That's what we don't talk about a lot is we talk about the bullying. We picture somebody pushing you, shoving you, taking your money, knocking your books out your hand. We don't talk about the people who like you say, I got picked up for these ears ever since I can remember. You know what I'm saying? By people who were getting bullied, like they were getting picked on, but they saw me like, well, this is a way out. You know what I'm saying? Because of course, dark skin wasn't in the '80s. You know what I'm saying? So I was African booty scratcher. I was black son of a whatever, black this, black that, big eared, black whatever. That stuff stay with you, like you said. I didn't think I was a. I still go through it. Attractive now, but I didn't think I was attractive through high school or anything. It wasn't until I graduated and girls was telling me, I used to like you in high school. I was like, what? I was so busy being a clown to get attention. I had no idea. I didn't have my first real girlfriend until the 12th grade. You know what I'm saying? Like I was just too busy being a clown thinking that's the only way I'm gonna get any girls to look at me because I look crazy. So yes, it can definitely affect your life in a lot of ways. So
yeah, I would also say my sense of humor started to help me kind of unwind out of that. As far as the way that I was perceived, among my peers, there was one girl who, she sat at the outcast lunch table one day. She was one of the popular girls who used to sit at their table. Some kind of way that day they had too many people, so she had to sit with us. And I joked her like the entire time she was at our table. I had everybody laughing at her. And then she and I became friends. Like that's how it ends up happening, sadly. And then,
right,
that kind of got me into some other places. And then just, getting older kind of helped help come out of that. But some people don't make it, and I, it's funny because I never cried. I cannot think of one time that they said something to me that actually made me cry. So
yeah, they got me, boy. They got me that one day I was getting off that bus, boy. I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's when you see the girls you like laughing.
oh.
That's what hurt you. You see all the girls on the bus. Every girl on the bus that I liked was in slow motion. Like, and
So I'm listening to y'all stories and feeling for y'all, man. Oh boy,
Yeah, if I had been in martial
in both
arts,
of y'all situations, if I had been a child in your town, I'd have been whooping ass. My whole thing was about saving people from bullies.
yeah.
As a child, it was about, and even some manhood has followed me, and it's followed my children. My son, I had to tell him stuff like, look, don't get involved with fights, breaking up fights or fighting for somebody at school. And, I can bubble. I was like, well, how you tell them that and you do it all the time?
Mm.
I said, yeah, but, he's my son. I don't want my son getting involved in violence like that. Now he's a man, so that's
right.
his. But I didn't want him getting involved in that in high school, man. Doing what I did. And it wasn't me trying to be a superhero or nothing. It was just I couldn't stand seeing people get bullied, males or females. I couldn't stand that.
Mm.
I was. There was this boy named Penguin in school. We called him Penguin. He was a bully, a karate bully. And now what's funny when I was in 8th grade. Our 8th grade was in the high school, Whitney Young. He says, "Hey, come here for a minute." He didn't know I was a martial artist, He said, "Look at this. See this boy? See, that's what I do to your head." I said, "Okay, give me 2 of those, boy. Let me see. Pa! I said, "That's what I'll do to your head." I do to your head. And after that, like him and his bully, because he really wasn't shit, but his bully henchman, Joe Render, big strong brother, and we were on the track team together later, but him and Joe, they took me, under their wing and liked me. Mm. And I started talking about, don't be bullying people, man. You too cool for that. And I would do that kind of thing. So they stopped bullying. They stopped bullying people.
Got inside.
And right. I want to say I can't say this for sure, but I do think there has to be a connection with the children who accept getting bullied, the people who defend, and father figures. I think there's probably some connection there somewhere. I can't say where it's at.
It might be confidence related.
That's what I'm saying. Well, I definitely think it's confidence related because when she was talking about how do you Brittany Bowman, I'm sorry, when she had posted how do you what did she say? How do you build your children? Gosh, it's hard to build your kids up to the point where they're impervious to that kind of mistreatment. I think I grew up in a house where nobody said I love you. Nobody said you beautiful. You have to nobody said that. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's after reaffirming your child what they are, and giving them that type of encouragement. I didn't have that in my house. And also another thing people don't look at, there was immature adults around me that bullied me and picked on me. I had adults. I grew up largely at a corner store. By the time I was 11, 12 years old, I was at the corner store all day long. My mom was at work. And she had to actually call. I don't know if I probably told y'all this already, but she used to have to call the corner store to find me. And the guy that ran the corner, which turns out to end up being my baby mother's father, I didn't know at the time that was his daughter. As soon as he walked in the corner store, if he saw me, he would yell out, "Big ear, big ear, big ear." And I'm like 12 years old, and everybody in the corner store would start laughing. that's the kind of like picking that I kind of went through. And this guy was the guy that not only the kids was afraid of, adults was afraid of him. He ran the corner. He basically ran the our little not neighborhood, but just the neighborhood. Like nobody messed with him. And rest in peace to Major Grady. But he was that figure. But he was also a kind person, and it's like I'm not giving him a pass, but it's like you've done a certain type of way, and you
one way.
Right. He didn't think he thought he was joking. He didn't have no play in him.
But even a bully is going to have some good qualities to him too. But we're going to deal with that, Brittany, of how you can not make them impervious, but how you can help your child or teach your child. Omanique is about to deal with that now. How to handle the bullies,
Excuse me. To handle bullies, your child can use avoidance. Know when to walk away. It's cool to avoid a bully. Being picked on is not character building. Also, they can use humor to diffuse a bully who may be about to attack. Make a joke. Look, Johnny, chill. I don't want you to get blood on your new kicks. Or tell the bully assertively, get a life, leave me alone, and walk away. This may be the best defense for girls. Recruit a friend. Observers find that having a friend on the playground is one of the most powerful protectives, especially for boys. In general, seek out the friendly children and build friendships with them.
So those are ways. Parents, you can do something like this too. So that's what you can tell your child to do, but you can do, see that your child has a grounding in assertive behavior. Assertive, not aggressive. The real first line of defense against a bully is self-confidence. Okay. Ask your children how peers treat them. So ask them, how your peers treating you in school, how your classmates, treat you. Children often are ashamed to bring up the subject. Parents got to. Okay, you must bring it up.
Yeah, bro.
Enroll your child in a social skills group where children learn and practice skills in different situations. If that's available to you, you can do that. Model good relationships at home. Help siblings get along. And, like you said, a good father figure is great for confidence building.
Yeah, bro.
For girls and boys.
I'm reminded of a story by the Wayans brothers. They said that when they used to fight at home, their mom would make them kiss each other on the lips. So that helped them.
Now they can help other things too, but that's okay. Increase the social opportunities of all children, but especially victimized ones. Invite other children and groups of children over to your house. This is your job. Parents are social engineers. So you can, have children over, get to know them and stuff, Now I know I had this one boy kept wanting our day to come outside. And I say, nah, he got, some work to do. And then finally, I let our day go out, but I was watching him through the window. And this boy is a bully. He was bullying his sister. And our day, of course, being my son, got involved. So he said, hey, man, stop hitting on your sister, man. Stop it. He said, I could slam both y'all at the same time. So he grabbed both of them and picked them up, but he didn't slam them. So they said, I could see him like, okay, that's good. And I chill. And the boy was saying something to his sister, and I saw they pick up a rock and have it behind him, his back. a big one too, like, half a brick. And the boy said something else to his sister, like he gonna hit her, and they whoa hit the dude in the knee. And dude, mother, and then they started running to the house. The boy chased him to my house, So I said, come on, they run, make it. I remember in my mind, and And so they made it. I was at the door. I opened the door and then I closed it. But behind, I closed behind our day. I was still outside. And the boy said, "Hey man, let me in your house." I said, "No, I can't let you in my house." And this is how bullies have a different mind. He said, "Let me in your house, man." I said, "I'm not going to do that." He said, "Well, if you don't let me do that, I'll whoop your ass then." I said, "Boy, I'll beat the brakes off you. I'll beat your ass, and then I'll beat your father's ass." And his father was on the porch. I said, "Go over there and tell him what I said. Tell him to come over here. I'll whoop his ass too." Like that. He said, "Okay." He go over to his father. His father started hemming him up. Like, be involved in no shit. But I realized that his father was bullying up on him.
Mm-hmm.
So he was modeling the behavior from his father.
Right.
So father can damage you too. Because he scooped him up, slapped him in his head. And the boy went inside. And I was like, "What you want to do?" I tear that him up. I tear him out the frame, man. And that's where I was at, especially in that neighborhood. This is the worst neighborhood. We talked about that yesterday. Like, this is the only hood neighborhood that me, my wife, and my children lived in. Where there was a murder. There was a murder every 2 weeks. No, we lived on Polar Rock.
That's what
Shit, that's worse than Buckhead. So that
bad now.
That is one of the things that, when you keep, I was going to, and I would have whooped that boy's ass. He talking about, if I can't get your son, I'll beat your ass. No, you won't. I'll beat the brakes off you, boy. I'll leave your ass crippled up in this motherfucker. Don't play with me. He was like 11. I wouldn't have left him crippled. I'd have fucked him up.
Never forgot.
Fuck that boy up. I'd have fucked him up. He may have been older than 11. I don't know. Because I think our day was 11, so he was a little older. Man, if that boy tried to wail on me, and I've seen, people be doing that to their grandmothers. And I ain't the grandmother or grandfather. Like I told that little boy who said to me, he said, "Hey, grandpa," to me, right? I said, "Boy, I'm like a grandpa. I am a grandfather, but I'm like a grandfather you ain't never seen. You ain't never seen this here." So, and I was serious, man. Get your father. That's who I really want. I want your father. I tear his ass up, man. And that's where I was at. Because I could tell if at that level of aggression that he was, I mean, it was like unseen where he throwing the sister down, slapping upside the head, choking her and shit. At that level, I knew he had seen it from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I figured it was a father, and it was, he hemming the boy up. I mean, hemming him like, "Why you putting my name and shit?" That kind of thing, and slapping him in the head and shit. I said, that's where he's getting it from.
Reparations, put in the date. What is the date of the 7-day blackout during Juneteenth? Starting in Juneteenth? Okay.
Also, ask your children how peers treat them. Enroll your child in social group. Model good relationships at home. Like I said, increase the social opportunities of all children, but especially victimized ones. So you invite them over and stuff. Enroll your child in classes or groups that develop competencies in activities that are valued by peers. Even children who don't love sports may like judo, ekbeogun, freestyle wrestling, and similar activities. But it may not be martial arts. So I said, put them in activities that are valued by their peers. The peers may like something like,
crumping,
dinosaurs, where you put them in a group that makes dinosaurs.
Right.
I remember this boy came to school in our group. He came to school when I was young with a couple of marionettes that he made. I mean, these marionettes look professional.
Wow.
He had sawed down the wood, painting them and shit. I was like, wow, you know. And so that gave him props. They got him props.
That's what's
Crumping. Well,
I said crumping.
Oh, I was like, if it's still a group that enjoy crumping, they kind of old school anyway. But hey,
I don't know if the peers would value it at this point, but you know,
like you know, in my days, it would have been pop locking. I could pop lock, so you know, empathy helps instill in all children a sense of the distress that a victim experiences. Help your child come up with a set of clever comebacks, verbal comebacks, to be used in the event of victimization by verbally abusive peers. Right. If you have a sense of humor, you know, and can come up with some dope comebacks.
Right.
I just teach that to my children. It's just automatic with my children because, you know, I do it. So see that children, let me see. Oh, see that children in groups have plenty of things to do. Provide play materials, buy a soccer ball, paint a hopscotch pattern on the sidewalk. Bullying flourishes when children are together and have nothing else to do. You're not bribing the child not to bully. You're giving them something else to do. Because you really ultimately don't want the child to bully. And you want to help the victim, but you want to help the bully as much as you can too. Do not expect children to work it out on their own. Bullying is not not simply a problem of individuals. Given the influence of the peer groups and reputational factors in maintaining the behavior of bullies and victims, it is extremely unrealistic to expect children to alter the dynamics of bullying by themselves. That is unrealistic. Well, you handle it. You do this.
Let the kids work it out.
Right, you're being unrealistic. And that's also usually the child of the bully that's saying that. Right. You know that the child, they ain't working it out and they gonna still be bullying children. Just don't do like my father. My father would say, hey, child kept biting my sister, kept biting her. And my father said, I'm tired of this, you know. So he went to the parents and they said, oh man, it's just, once again, it's just child being children, man. It's children being children. He said, biting my daughter? He said, well, call the police then. My father said, no, motherfucker, I'm going to be my own police. I'm going to be the police. So the girl bit my sister one more time. My father took my sister there. He said, this the girl did? He said, yeah. He said, what finger did she bite? He said, this finger, my index finger, you know, index finger. He grabbed the girl's index finger and he bit her. Yeah. He said, now go get your daddy.
Never do that again.
He waited on the daddy. The daddy didn't come out. You know. That's how my old man would be. Don't handle it that way.
Handle the issue though.
Don't handle it that way unless
you prepared to go all the way with that.
Right. And you at the end of your rope.
Yeah, you gotta have
everything else skills. You know, nothing else worked. I know this girl tried to bully me, my daughter, on the bus, where she pulled her hair and started beating her and stuff. I said, well, handle that. So this time she was leaving, the girl poked her in the side of something. So Jamie turned around, bow, hit her in the face. The girl jumped up, started handling Jamie again. So they both fighting. And I talked to the bus driver, like, man, look, you handle this shit or I am, you know. So Jamie ended up making friends with the girl, but the girl apologized and then Jamie ended up making friends with her. But after that, like, there's some boys on the bus who saw that. So they trying to bully her. They live down the way. Once they tried to break into my house, these boys, while I'm there. They didn't know I was there. They tried to break into the house. I had my shotgun right next to me. So I'm thinking some men. I said, boys, I almost killed y'all. Almost killed y'all. What are you doing? So I went to talk to their parents, and their parents, did you break in that man's house? I told you they did. Well, my wife, and she was on the phone. She was like, I'm sick of this shit. We'll call the police then. And they hearing on the phone. I got it on speaker. And then they, getting on the boy's ass. But I said, ma'am, I'm not lying. I don't have no reason to lie about these boys trying to break in my house. I almost shot them. Then I had to explain something else to you.
Right.
Well, I done shot your son. Your sons, it was 3 of them. But he had tried to, one of them had hit Yami, through a stick, tried to hit her. I said, boy, if you hit her with that stick, see this boy here? My son, I said, I'm going to give my son carte blanche to just rip you apart. You see this stick I have here? I had a, African walking stick. I said, I'm going to hand him this stick and let him wear you out. Let him wear you out. I said, you threw a stick at my daughter. He got a stick. Just his stick is harder.
Walk with
I'm
a big stick.
I'm gonna let him wear you out with that motherfucker. So that's how I was, around there. But also, they had a daughter, sending the daughter down, and she's playing with Yami. The woman's drunk boyfriend come down to the house. Hey, come here. Come here. You gotta eat. Come here. I said, no. Send her mother down to get her, cause you drunk, man. Nah. I told her she coming with me. I said, is this your father? She said, no, it's not my father. I said, well, you're not going with them then. Who are you? I'm my mother's boyfriend. I said, oh, boyfriend. Okay, well, no, send her down here to get her daughter. I said, y'all go in the house and play. Go in my house and play, as a matter of fact. He was, what? I said, boy, I'll rip your motherfucking heart out your chest if you come down here. Come on. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you right now. And I meant that shit. I'm going to kill you. Then he went and got the girlfriend. I said, I thought so. She came to get my daughter. Okay, your mother's here. Come on. And she went down,
The thing about those threats, y'all, you have to be able to enforce.
You got to back it up now.
You got to mean it.
He could have been like, well, come on then. And oh Lord. Okay, well.
It's just like the ultimatums you give your child. You got to be able to live with them when the child be like, okay, well, I want to do this. That's what you said.
And he got to feel it. He got to feel it in his soul, and then feel it in his body. If he challenges that.
You got to have that.
Intervene at all levels of the group. Let all children know bullying is not okay. Declare emphatically, this is not acceptable behavior. You can't do this here.
Yeah, boy.
Talk to other parents. Where there's one victimized child, there are likely to be others. Go to the school administration and demand that bullies be transferred to other classes or schools. Every child has the right to a safe school environment. If all else fails, get your child prepared to defend themselves physically. Judo is great for this, by the way. And I say that if you send them to us, we're also training them in weapons. I'm gonna be honest with you.
I knew this is what you were talking about.
So we're training them to use sticks, knives, swords, guns.
Not even that, no, Bobby. In judo, they gonna probably slam the child on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Ours, they might slam on the ground. They're gonna start punching them in the face like this.
Right. Now I'll say I did got into a fight, and it's on the internet. I tried to get it taken off of Instagram. They wouldn't take it off.
They kept loading it back up. No,
somebody else, the person who put it on there, I was like, I'd like to get this removed. I reported it to Instagram and shit. and they wouldn't remove it. But in the thing, you see the boy, trying to hit Ade, and Ade blocking, and then Ade grabs him around his waist, and the dude, punching, but Ade is like putting his head there, and he's punching his head as he's taught, like the dude hurting his hand. And then you see Ade just hump his side, pick him up, boom, slam him down, and then Ade just took off. So he didn't beat him down afterwards. He just slammed him on the ground.
That's good. That's good.
And he slammed him on the ground and ran. And everybody was, oh, but it was like, also it was smart because it was like probably about 50 people in the, around looking. And
I think the dude was bigger than him too.
He was bigger, but also some of those people were that dude's friends.
Right.
He wasn't taking no chance on.
He used that shock and awe.
And beating his ass, and his friends started kicking him in the head. And
he used that time, that shock and awe from that slam. Everybody like, ooh.
Right. Get out of there. So it was good that happened, but I didn't want my son on the internet doing violence, and then later on he tried to get a job.
Right. And
they said, hey, you're doing violence. Although he was only like 12, 13 or something.
One thing I did want to add is that if you decide to get your child some training, get the child training and I want to make sure I'm saying this the right way. So when my daughter was 9 and I decided to enroll her in class, I didn't consult her about it. We didn't have a, like, how do you feel about training? That wasn't the issue. She needed it, and so we got it. It wasn't about if you like coming to class. How do you feel about being in class? I'm not. I ain't gonna say F your feelings, but I'm not concerned with how you feel about something that you need. It's like eating healthy. I ain't concerned about you feeling bad because you got to eat your peas and your green beans before you can leave the table.
Or a child want to eat a Snicker for dinner. Hell no.
Yeah. So, at a certain point, you have to be concerned. Safety has to be the main priority, and self-protection in those situations. So I don't care if she never did, if she would have been complaining and crying during the whole, you're going to get this because we talking in some situations, like we know, if it's physical, it could be life and death. If it's physical, it could be life and death.
Weapons are good, but all children are not prepared for weapons. We had a child come to the class, and we're using training knives. And I said, "Come on, let's train," because he's new, so I'm gonna deal with him. He started crying
profusely.
Yes, I said, look, it's a training knife. See, it's not cutting me. Water. And I said, damn, he's been traumatized by a knife or something. But whatever the case is, right now we're not the class for him.
So and not even that. That fact too, Bob. I mean, that's the fact. Then some children aren't ready for it. But also, you may not want your child to use a tool in school. They can get them removed and
So in school, a child should not be carrying no knife.
Right.
That's number one. Unless they my child and they've been taught how to use it all their life.
Right.
And even then, depend on the school whether they want them to, So that's number one. A child can carry a palm stick, or they can carry like a pocket shark. Yeah, or they can carry a tactical pen, something like that.
Yes.
But no, they should not have a knife. They should never have a gun in school.
Right. Which I definitely did.
Yeah, weapons is good. Let me see the bays. I don't know what that is. Straight out of Newark, New Jersey.
Geraldine Bay.
I don't know about the bays. What they do.
Yeah.
I know bays are, Moors, but I don't know what those bays do.
I was going to say one of the really good points I think is to talk with your child daily or regularly about how their peers treat them. I don't think that's a conversation that, especially like parents in my parents' generation, it just didn't occur to them to ask, because all the things I was going through in school, I don't think even to this day that my mom knows about that, because
That's a great point.
never something that we talked about. So
Great.
that's something that I will check in with my son, like, hey, how's that person? Especially if you see someone, you ask them, like, how do they treat you when no one else is around?
And ask them if they have friends.
Right.
If they don't have friends, that's a concern that you should have.
Yeah, Bo.
Definitely. I used to ask my daughter, because like she said, ain't nobody asked me nothing about school.
Right.
What happened? Nothing ever. The report card came out, and if it was bad, I got a beating. If not, that was it. But I used to pick my daughter up every day, and I used to ask her a series of questions. So what was the best thing about the day? What was the worst thing about the day? What do you wish you could change? What do you know what I'm saying? I would ask a series of questions. Who made you laugh? Who made you mad? And then why? You know what I'm saying? I ask these questions every day to a point when she get in the car, she kind of run it off without me having to go through everything. And sometimes the thing is, sometimes you don't think of something until the question that comes to you.
Right. That too.
You don't realize certain things until the question is point. I always, and I'll leave it at this. I always think about, shout out to Blackaben. I can't even think of his real name right now. But he asked this question on social media one time. He said, "What's your example of a good father? And what's your example of what is a good black man? What does that mean?" And I couldn't answer it. I'm talking about I'm 40 years old. And when he said, "What's your example of a good black father?" the first thing came to my mind was Bill Cosby.
Damn.
TV. It's the first thing came to my mind, and the second thing was somebody else from TV. And the third thing was somebody else from TV. I did not have an example of a good black father. Now, my uncle that stayed next door.
Now, mind y'all, I wasn't. He wasn't training with me then.
No. I didn't know Bobby yet, so I couldn't say he was a good black father. Seriously though, but even my uncle, which is one of the greatest men I know, I don't know how much of a great father he was. He was a hardworking man. He was a good man. He didn't cheat on his wife. He didn't, he wasn't an alcoholic, none of that stuff. But as a father, I can't say what he was as a father.
I've heard women say this, this man, he's a great brother. He's a great father. He's a great whatever, but he's not a great husband. So all of that, so a person could be a great worker. He could be a great brother, great uncle, great cousin, but not a great father.
And see,
I would say, I'm sorry, just to speak to what you were saying about that is, if he's modeling the right behavior, then it may not be that he's going overboard with certain things that, like you talking about, you seeing TV fathers, know. So when you see the TV fathers, they got the perfect response. They got the perfect thing to do when this certain scenario goes down, because, there's writers coming up with that stuff. But if you have a man who is in your children's life or who has fathered your children and they're modeling the right behavior, then maybe they're not doing those specific things that we think of as being a great father, but they are being a great father.
Well,
maybe if a man is modeling Cliff Huxtable, not Bill Cosby, but Cliff Huxtable, who is a good father, on TV, that don't make him a good father himself.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the TV stuff. I'm talking about someone who's modeling the right behaviors in real life.
Yeah,
not the kind of things that come from television.
What I'm saying is, I didn't know what I don't know. I don't know what I know what it looks like now. I didn't know what that looked like at 40 years old. My uncle was a provider. He was a good man, so to speak. I can't say he was a good father. I didn't see him with his children, taking them on camping trips, or you know what I'm saying. I didn't see him doing fatherly. I didn't see that, to be honest. You know what I'm saying. He was working
home and being with your family. You know what I'm saying? Providing for that, like that's father. You know, that's modeling.
I'm gonna leave it alone because I'm leaving it alone. I'm just gonna say certain things we don't think of until it's put in front of us. You know what I'm saying?
Also, people, y'all both obviously, and me and everybody else have different views of what a good father is.
Let me say this too. I take offense because people on Facebook tell me all the time, "You're such a good dad." How the fuck do you know?
Right.
What the fuck do you know about me and being a father? You don't know shit. I can take pictures. I'm with my daughter on the weekend. You don't know what the fuck I am. And I don't want to say it like that, but I do. I used to take offense to that because it made me think of, if you're saying that about me from what you see, you saying that about other people and you don't know.
They could take a nice picture and then go and rape their child.
Right. And it's people out there that aren't good fathers that's taking pictures and selfies whenever they get a chance, and you saying you're a great dad, you're this, that, and the third, and they not. Now, I'm not saying I'm a bad father. I think I'm a very good father. You know what I'm saying? But you don't know that from these pictures.
Now, so let me say that period, on the internet images mean very little.
Very little.
And that's from father, mother,
martial arts,
women who martial arts, a woman who, you know, who looking fine in them pictures, but she feel like crap outside the picture. All that stuff, it means very little. This is magic.
Right. Yeah.
So get down to the real.
Right.
That person, if like when I usually go to a person's website, I look for not the reels either. I look for videos. So now I can piece out certain things.
Yeah.
That they're saying, that they're doing, stuff like that. And that's still only giving you part of the picture.
Right.
But that's a more real picture than looking at a photo or a 5-second reel.
Yeah. And the biggest compliment you can get that I've gotten from the internet, the biggest compliment that people can give me and that have given me is you're consistent. That doesn't lie. So you've been following me for 10 years and I'm still saying this and that, and I'm still standing for this and doing that and working towards that. You can see that can be seen and measured to a certain extent. So you can still get a decent picture off consistency sometimes.
Now, a nice thing that was said, but I was called the new Michael Moorcock and Robert E. Howard as a writer. Now, as a writer of fantasy, especially sword and sorcery, which you call sword and soul, to some, that would be, man, the ultimate compliment, because those are the ultimate authors of that.
Right.
I said, that's nice, but compare me to Charles Sanders, somebody black.
Mm-hmm.
I want to stand with, okay, the white writers, I can stand with them. Okay, good. What does that mean? I want to stand with the great black writers.
Yeah,
for the brothers.
That means something to me. And that's not racist. That just means something to me.
You identify more with you, yeah,
and that too, right? I and once again with that imaging. So somebody will hear that interview. Man, he like the new Michael Moorcock. Nah, man, I don't want to be the new Michael Moorcock. I want to be the new Charles Sanders. You know, then I done something.
Yeah, well.
So look for that. When people say, you know, you're a great martial artist. Well, if you haven't taken my class or watched warrior class, how do you know? From my book? How do you know I'm a great martial artist?
Right.
Come down here though and get with me.
Exactly.
I'm gonna show you a magic trick. I'm gonna show you what good martial arts is.
Yeah,
and it ain't those motherfuckers that's doing the job, most of them, on the internet. There, I would say 80% of those people or more are piss poor martial artists who are making these videos. 80% or more.
I didn't believe it, though, but it's true.
Videos are garbage. Oh my God. Even some of the ones that my students will send me and say, man, this good, ain't it? And I'll analyze it. I'll tell them whether it's good or not.
Speaking of that, we will have some videos on Patreon that Baba has not seen that I picked out that I think is pretty good technique. I think it's decent technique. We got to see what Baba think. That'll show you the difference from the levels, from my level to his level as
the
well.
Baba test.
Right, the Baba test. You know, I was looking for a title for that segment too.
That'd be cool, the Baba test. Now I tell you what you can do. If you know a martial artist, you can take those same videos and show them and ask them what they think.
Ooh, now that's good. We send them to a bunch of different martial arts. Oh yeah, this is great.
Right. No way to know if they are 360-degree hands on father unless you know them personally.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can agree. Definitely.
Mother, father,
and not even personally,
child.
You to know them as a father, because you can know a man again, and you, like you say, he could be a great friend, he could be a great brother, he could be a great uncle, but you don't know him as a father. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's a tricky one. You can, now certain things you can see if you're around, you may see him demonstrating, and you may be able to get a good idea, but other ways you just not going to know unless that's your, you know, that's your father.
Now, to all the mothers out there,
oh yes,
for tomorrow, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day indeed. Happy Mother's Day indeed. May you have the most blessed and wonderful day of your life.
Yeah. Don't do that old job. Now, usually people don't do this. They don't say
I'm the mother and the
to a man, happy Mother's Day to you too, mother. Child, but they'll wish a mother happy Father's Day. Stop that.
Please.
Stop that. She's not a father. She is a mother. But most women don't know how to be fathers.
Yeah,
most men, half men or more don't know how to be fathers. It's sad, but they don't know how to be fathers either. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there.
Yes, sir.
Whatever your circumstance is, whatever, you know, we happy for you. We honor you, and may the heavens honor you as well. Okay.
That's a note right there.
Beautiful. Thank you, Baba.
All right. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you all, and be safe in here, out there, wherever you may be. Stay black or whatever it is that you may be.
Yeah, Baba.
Peace.
Peace.